Hello friends! This month for the card review, I am going to be reviewing Paolo Paolini's Unicorns, because it is actually the first Oracle deck, at least I believe it's the first Oracle deck I ever bought, and I have absolutely adored using it. So with that said, let's get into it. First things first, it comes in a very sturdy box, which is always a plus. It also comes with a fully illustrated, I'm sorry, not fully illustrated, with a fully written out book in multiple languages, which is also a plus. Because I'm bilingual, I also speak Spanish. I find that sometimes reading the entries in both English and Spanish, they say slightly different things. Essentially, it's the same thing, but not always specifically. So then, looking at the artwork, I love the art in this because it's all about seeing the fantastical in what's not necessarily particularly fantastical. So each card follows the format of not a blank and then what attribute the card is embodying. So, for example, just pulling this one off the top of the deck, it says, "Not a tiger, majesty." And I hope that focuses. If not, I will drop it on top as a photo in editing. Because this deck is all about, it's not what it appears, it's something else, it's very good at finding what is behind your initial view, what is behind the mundane. And I just have a handful of cards that I think are so, like, not a race. And it's full of all sorts of animals that have unicorn horns. And not a mermaid, daring. So a lot of these are just really cool. And the card on the top or on the box is "Not a dragon, purity." So most of these cards are about different types of energies or different types of adjectives. So even though this is not particularly a table, I figured one of the best ways to review a deck for those who haven't seen it is to do a quick reading. So I am specifically doing this reading for myself about some communication that has been going on between myself and various family members. Because as I've asked for space, I've had to continue reiterating it over and over again, and I'm kind of trying to figure out why. Because I've talked to everyone, both as a group and individually, both in person and through text message. So I'm trying to figure out, why are they still, like, pushing? Let's see. Not a snail, calm. I guess that makes sense. I guess I just need to calm down about it. Even though it is driving me up the wall. We're gonna ask a second question, a follow-up question. What is it that about the situation that is making it difficult for me to be calm? Not a peacock. Beauty. So one of the things about peacocks is they're often associated with illusion and deception, and that fits. I am worried about the difference in perception regarding a great number of situations and how there's been. It's funny, after people die, there seems to always be this big attempt to pretend that they were something they weren't, or to make them out to be better or worse than they were rather than just acknowledging the reality of it. And I am seeing that has driven a lot of, I think, the miscommunications and conflict between myself and my siblings. So I think that's a pretty good indication of why I just need to chill out and calm down. But that's how I typically use this deck: is I ask a question, pull a card, and apply it to the situation. So breaking it down into like the categories of how I typically will interpret a deck or rate a deck. First off, clarity. The descriptions, actually, let's go to those descriptions because I actually did a reading, so may as well look at the descriptions. I need to, okay. So the action for calm, not a snail, because they break it into multiple categories of transformation, meditation, affirmation, and action. So you can use the cards in a lot of different ways as intended within the deck. So the action says, are you hustling and bustling through your day? Take a moment to slow down. Move slowly, breathe deeply, light a candle, or sip that cup of herbal tea. There is no need to hurry. You will get there no matter what speed. Slow down. Which I have been attempting to do. It's easier to do that with like the physical things than like my mind. And then the other one, which was beauty, not a peacock, which all of the different categories here, transformation, meditation, affirmation, and action, are all about taking the time to recognize the beauty within yourself. So taking that into account, I have been thinking too much about what they're thinking and their beliefs instead of just focusing on myself. So I think that's actually pretty useful for me at this moment in my life. That being said, book is very clear. It's well written. Like I said, multiple languages. I wonder if there's any difference in the... Wow, the translation is actually pretty direct. Although that is an interesting word choice. Instead of beautiful, they use the word esplendido, which is splendid. So I kind of like that. That's an interesting change. And then for the other card, que te asusta. Yeah, that's actually a very different translation. What startled you? What bothers you? Yeah, I like that. Okay. So particularly if you speak multiple languages, very clear and provides extra insight. For the art is incredible. And shoot, what was my notes? That's what I get for starting talking without scripting. Okay, so art already talked about. Formatting, legibility, very legible. Format is very clear and consistent throughout the entire thing. Theme, it has a very consistent voice. It's whimsical, but simultaneously look at both the mundane and the magical about each card, about each concept. And book. Does it need the guidebook? No. But I find that my internal interpretation of the cards versus what the book gives of the cards is radically different. And so when I'm struggling to interpret, or I'm just having a really hard time listening to my internal voice, the book comes in very helpful. So on those 4 points, I would give them each actually a 5. My goodness, I'm being a whole lot easier on my reviews of things than, well, no, it's that I'm only reviewing the things I actually like. So that being said, I give it a 5 out of 5. It's beautiful, well crafted, and the having the 4 different elements in each of the cards' descriptions, I think is very useful because it lets you use the deck in many ways. It's published by Lo Scarborough. If you're interested in picking up your own copy, this is not sponsored. This is just one of the decks I absolutely adore. And that being said, until next time, walk in the light, my friends.